Hello, it's late. I'm driving. I'm feeling mischievous. I mentioned in that last video that I had been put into alternative school for possession of hard alcohol. There's a story there, and I'll go ahead and tell it, and I'm going to use the real names because this story's never been told and I need to clear my name. I went down for 5 weeks. And that school could have ruined me. I seen some stuff there that I ought not have seen. And I'm just smart enough to pick up on it and learn how to do it if I wanted to. Fortunately, thankfully, I was just a little bit wiser than to pick up everything that I was exposed to. So here's what happened. My good friend Ashley Miles asked me to hold, I believe this was on a Tuesday, a little bit of Everclear. It was in a sports bottle that you'd put on a bicycle. It was one of them bottles that would fit into that bicycle holder deal. You know, like from the 80s, one of them old school ones, or 90s. So I held on to it. It was Everclear. I smelled of it when I first got it. It was horrible. It was really offensive. I'm driving through construction. This was a rumble strip, so I'm not just running off the road. That's how I'm supposed to go. This Everclear, I never did take a drink of it. Still to this day in my life, I never have. But I was in possession of it. So, I believe it was Thursday. I had it in my truck, my backpack, and then I believe Thursday, a couple people caught on that I had it. Xerxes Laura was one. We were in Algebra 2 class, and Xerxes was sitting next to me, and he said, "Sell me a shot." So I said, "Give me $2." So we're doing this on the sly right there. And he took a shot of this out of the sports bottle. I had it in my backpack. Then he got up and went to the bathroom, and he was walking down the hall, scooting down the hall backwards so as not to throw up on himself with walking into the propulsion of his vomit. He was sick. Miss Bilbrey, the substitute teacher, she was a makeup woman, saleswoman in town, and also involved with pageants. That's how she come to know my parents fairly well. And my sister. So, she's a sub. She said, "What's wrong with Xerxes?" And I said, "He's sick." And she goes, "What?" And I said, I give him some Copenhagen. I think he's sick. And I knew that was not allowed, but it was the lesser of two evils. And I felt in that moment, while I don't like to lie, that's had to be a honed characteristic. It had to develop. So in this instance, I did. But I also felt as if she didn't see it in her class, and I could, change the history books ever how they needed to be. But it ain't right. It's wrong. Okay. And I was in possession of alcohol at school, and that was wrong because it was illegal. So, I also worked at the grocery store. Sometimes there'd be broken boxes of beer and stuff, and I worked in the produce section. And I hate to admit thieving, but I was one when I worked there, because I'd get these apple boxes, and I'd get me a box of beer and put it in the apple box, and I'd take out the produce boxes and throw them in the dumpster. Then I'd come about midnight after everything was shut down, I'd dig them up out of there, and I'd have beer. And remember I had a young manager one time, and he was kind of messing around with one of the girls I was going to high school with. And he was kind of heartbroken that it wasn't going that way. And I had an 18-pack of beers to hit out in a box, I think a banana box or something. And he's telling his heartbreak to me, walking out with me while I'm taking the trash. And there's that heavy box. I know where it's at. I make sure to grab it. He throws the box over it. It lands lightly. And I grab one and chunk this dude up over it. It lands with the thud. And he looks at me and he goes, I think he knew. And I just looked at him back and I knew that he knew. And that was all that was of it. And I went on listening to his story about Rhonda Frizzell is who it was. Like I said, I ain't gonna withhold any names. So he was all heartbroken over her. So now I've admitted to lying and thieving. And so that because of me thieving beers, that's where I was headed with this little side trail. There was 2 Coors Lights in my truck, little Nissan pickup, and this sports bottle was in my truck. Well, Barbara Bilbrey that night calls my parents and says, I think Bo had alcohol at school today. So they wait till I'm in bed and they search my truck. Well, they find these 2 Coors Lights. I don't think they found the sports bottle. So the next day is it's football season. There's a pep rally. There's first period and a pep rally, then second period. So the next day, this is the only day I've ever done this, but this is how it went down. I had them 2 beers in my truck, and I pulled up behind the Ag Building parking lot, and Jason Cornut was there in the parking lot at 7:15 when I pulled in, and I had 2 beers. I said, hey, you want to drink a beer? He said, yeah. So we drank a beer and threw it in the dumpster. Then I still had that sports bottle in there. So first period, then pep rally, that take an hour, and then second period. And I would dance in them pep rallies. I always had a big old time. They'd play that song Louie Louie, I think it was, and I'd just get it on having a big old time dancing. It was fun. The band would play that song, and when they played it in that gym, it would just fire me up. So I had my pep rally, and we went typing class or computer class. I ain't in there a few minutes, and there's a tap on my shoulder. I look up, and there's Mr. Pittman. And he said, we need to talk. And I said, all right, let me save this. And he goes, probably ought to just shut it down. And I said, all right. So I shut it down. We're walking to my locker, and he goes, I'm looking for alcohol, Bo. And I said, all right. So then we go to my locker. He don't find none. He goes, I think I want to check your truck. And I said, all right. So we go out to my truck, and I think, I won't say what I was going to say because it's getting into speculation. I'll tell you how it went down. He found this sports bottle, and he opens the cap of it. And he smelled it, and he goes, it smells like vodka. And I said, let me smell it. So I sniffed of it. And I said, that smells like rubbing alcohol. And he smelled it again. He goes, no, I think it's vodka. And I said, well, it's Everclear. We was both wrong. And then I said, you gonna call the cops? And he said, I got to. So we go up to the office, and he calls the cops, and he goes, you better call your parents. So my dad, he had his own business. He worked out of the house there. And I called. Dad answered the phone. He said, hello. And I said, I'm in trouble, Dad. And he said, I know. And I thought to myself, I ain't no idiot. Saying I could have been a lawyer. Didn't want to pursue that because lying ain't never been my deal. I might be good at it. Just never wanted to do it for a living. But I said, I'm in trouble. And he said, I know. And pardon my language, but the exact thought that went through my head was, you motherfucker. I knew immediately who had turned me in. So what had happened was Mrs. Bilbrey called my parents, told them she thought Bo had alcohol at school. They searched my truck, found them 2 beers, called Terry Pittman, who wanted to talk to me, and he's looking for beers. Well, me and Jason Cornett had slammed these, and during Pittman's interview with me, he kept saying, kept asking me if anybody drank that alcohol. He wanted me to rat out Xerxes. I'm sure Barbara Bilbrey had talked to Mr. Pittman. That was just a recent epiphany. I'm talking 18 years later. I just thought of that for the first time. She probably also talked to him. So he was sick and he wants to know who else drank it, but I ain't fixing to roll, and it was yesterday and Xerxes fine today. I ain't fixing to roll on nobody. And he's wanting me to believe it's for his health reasons. Somebody could really be in danger. I'm cool, dog. And he keeps asking me, you know, my parents told him about some beers. There's 2 beers he didn't find. He wants to know if he was to give me a breathalyzer test right now, would I pass it? Well, at the risk of being found out and gambling that he ain't actually going to do that because I'm in trouble anyhow, I hold my ground. No, you wouldn't find nothing. So, Dad come and pick me up. The cop come up there, give me a ticket, didn't arrest me, but did give me a ticket. I had to go to court. And so there's you. This is now my newest, longest video and story, but that was all of it and how it went down. So, well, since we're going for length here and truth, I didn't do any homework. I would pack a pillow in my backpack every day to go to Hobbs. And my first day out there, Carrie Kelly was getting a blowjob on the bus for some girl. I didn't even know Carrie Kelly still lived in Sweetwater. I hadn't seen him since junior high. Apparently he'd been going to Hobbs for the whole duration of high school. Then John Trotter was our teacher. He was the custodian / substitute, and I was in AEP, and one day, we was in a trailer house, and there was a kitchen area, hallway, and then bathrooms with the doors that opened into the hallway. There was a coffee table that was just perfect size to fit down that hallway. One day, John Trotter went in that bathroom after lunch, and we pushed that coffee table down the hallway and locked him in the bathroom from about 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock, or whenever we left school, 3:30. Right when the bus pulled around there, we kicked that coffee table out there and said, "See you tomorrow, John," and we ran out the door. So, anyhow, there's a long story. I shouldn't have been at that school. It could have really fouled me up. And, so there. All right, then.